أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه العبد المؤيد والرسول المسدد، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد، وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وصحابته المنتجبين. صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله، صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا ابن رسول الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة ويا عبرة كل مؤمن ومؤمنة، يا مظلوم يا غريب يا شهيد كربلاء، يا ليتنا يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. ما إن بقيت من الهوان على الثرى ملقيا ثلاثا في ربا ووهاد، ما إن بقيت من الهوان على الثرى ملقا ثلاثا في ربا ووهاد، لكن لكي تقضي عليك صلاتها زمر الملائك فوق 7 شداد، لهفي لرأسك وهو يرفع مشرقا كالبدر فوق الذابل المياد، يتلو الكتاب وما سمعت بواعظ اتخذ القنا بدلا عن لهفي على الصدر المعظم يشتكي من بعد رشق النبل رض جيادي، ولهفة على خزانة علمك السجاد وهو يقاد في الأصفاد ما لي أراك ودمع عينك جامد أو ما سمعت بمحنة السجايا ويصيح وغوثه أين عشيرتي وسرات قومي أين أهل ودادي. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. A second for the love of Imams Al-Hassan wal-Hussein. We've been asked to do qiyam, my dear brothers and sisters. Thus I ask you, at the sound of the special name of the Imam, I ask you to rise, pull forward. You can come on stage, and the sisters do the same as well. رحم الله من ذكر القائم من آل محمد. Come forward, please. Come forward. Come on stage. Fill the stage. There's plenty of room. Make room for the people that are standing outside and would like to come inside the Majalis. Please make room and come on. Pull forward. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Are Islamic laws static or dynamic? Do Islamic laws ever change, or do they remain the same? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala establishes a certain law, is that law set in stone, or can one day this law change? For example, we have many laws. When Allah established the obligation of salah, the obligation of hajj and khums, the prohibition of alcohol and adultery, will these laws ever change, or they will remain the same forever? Do time and place play a role in the changing of laws, or no? There are some people now that say there are some Islamic laws are no longer applicable. Some laws perhaps were applicable 1,000 years ago, 500 years ago, maybe 100 years ago. But today there are certain laws that are no longer applicable, especially in the West. For example, the law of dhabiha, eating halal food. There are some that might say these laws were applicable in the past, in small villages, in Islamic communities. But how does Islam expect us to implement al-dhabiha al-Islamiyya and to eat halal food in Western environments? This is too difficult. This law should be changed, as an example. Another law that some people mention, they say, why is it that men and women in Islam, or not even in Islam, but in general, they are not allowed to shake hands? This law might have been applicable hundreds of years ago, but not here in the West, when it's customary for men and women to shake hands and act normally. This law needs to be changed. The detailed laws of Hajj, the intricate and detailed laws of Hajj, well, these were fantastic few decades ago, few centuries ago, but nowadays these laws should be changed, and so on and so forth. These people say that time is changing, everything is advancing, the world is advancing, but why aren't Islamic laws advancing? Why isn't Islam up to date? There's so many new technologies, science is developing, the world is developing, but Islam is still catering to people with a mindset of 1,400 years ago. Islam requires a new mindset. There are some laws that need to be changed in order to fit our lives, especially in the West. Now, this is a question that is posed. Those who have addressed this subject in detail, academically, among those who have addressed this topic is Al-Shaheed, Al-Shaykh Murtada Al-Mutahhari, and Al-Allama Al-Tabtabai, Sahib Tafsir Al-Mizan. But two figures have addressed this topic thoroughly, and they are Al-Sayyid Al-Shaheed, Al-Sayyid Muhammad Baqir Al-Sadr, and Al-Sayyid Al-Imam, Al-Imam Al-Khomeini, Rahimahumullah. Before going into this subject, I'd like to say that to answer this question in our school of thought, it's easy. In the school of thought of Ahlul Bayt, to answer this question and to tackle it and to provide answers, it's easy. Why? Because in our school of thought, the door of ijtihad is open. We're allowed to research, and we're allowed to come up with conclusions. We are not restricted to certain scholars. The door of ijtihad, since the greater occultation, al-ghayb al-kubra, till now, the door of ijtihad has been open. That's why we have thousands of scholars with their own ijtihad, with their own understanding of Islamic laws. Ijtihad is not dead in the school of thought of Ahlul Bayt. That is why our scholars disagree with one another. And inshallah, one of the nights I will talk about this in more detail. Our scholars disagree. Why? Because the door of ijtihad is open. They don't all have to agree on one opinion. Because this is the point of ijtihad. The point of ijtihad is to agree on disagreeing. That is why you will see, for example, As-Sayyid Al-Khoi having certain opinions, while his student As-Sayyid Al-Sistani will have another opinion. And this is the whole point of ijtihad. However, our Sunni brothers and sisters, and their school of thought, the door of ijtihad is what? It's closed. It's closed. And they all are followers of four Imams: Abu Hanifa, Al-Shafi'i, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, and Malik ibn Anas. These are the only four mujtahids in the Sunni school of thought. There's no room for others. There's no room for ijtihad in the Sunni school of thought. No one can come and say, well, I'd like to question Abu Hanifa. No. You either follow Abu Hanifa or the other three scholars. You don't have a choice. Because from centuries ago, the door of ijtihad was closed. They're all followers. They're not mujtahids. Thus, to tackle this issue in our school of thought, it's easy, inshaAllah. Salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. First off, let's set a basis. And I'd like you to follow up with me in this discussion. And hopefully I won't lose you somewhere in the middle. Let's put a basis. Let's start with a foundation. by default, Islamic laws do not change. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set certain laws, they were meant to remain forever till the Day of Judgment. When Allah said pray, prayer is wajib till the Day of Judgment. And when He said don't cheat, don't lie, this is haram till the Day of Judgment. We have a hadith. Halal Muhammad, halalun ila yawm al-qiyamah. Wa haramuhu haramun ila yawm al-qiyamah. By default, laws do not change. They don't have an expiration date. Laws are meant to last forever. This is by default. Unless a certain law is given an expiration date, is given a certain time limit. Is there such a thing? Yes, I'll give you a few examples. One example is the recommendation of using henna for men, dyeing their hair and beard with henna. This had a time limit. And I'm only giving this as an example. I know nowadays a lot of people don't use henna. When the Muslims in Medina went to Mecca, before the conquest of Mecca, Mushrikeen of Quraysh were still in command of Mecca. They went for Umrah. 1 year after Sulh al-Hudaybiyah, the peace treaty at Hudaybiyah, a year after, Muslims were allowed to enter Mecca for Umrah. Rasulullah, before leaving, Rasulullah told his followers, the men, to dye their hair and their beard. Why? I'll get to them. They went during Tawaf, during Sa'i. Rasulullah noticed that the Mushrikeen of Quraysh, they were spying on the Muslims. They wanted to see how many are they, what do they look like, are they strong, are they what? Rasulullah wanted his followers to look what? To look young. Because he wanted to scare them. He wanted to make sure that they don't come from behind and attack them. Rasulullah did this for a specific reason, so that Muslims look younger. This is one reason. Thus, this law had a time limit, had an expiration date, and it was during that Umrah of that year. I'll give you another example. In Sa'i, for those of you that have been to Hajj, in Sa'i, there's 2 green lights. Have you noticed? There's 2 green lights. What do people do between these 2 green lights? They begin jogging. There's 2 reasons for that. Historically, it is said that Hajar, the wife of Ibrahim, when she walked in between these 2 hills, As-Safa wal Marwa, looking for water, in this place she would hear the screaming and the crying of her son Ismail, so she would begin jogging. This is one explanation. Another explanation given is that Rasulullah ordered his followers to begin jogging. Why? Because the Mushrikeen were spying on them. Rasulullah wanted them to look what? Young, powerful, that they could jog, they could run. They're not old men, even though half of them are old men. But this was a reason. This is another example. Had a time limit. A third example. During certain battles, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would forbid his followers from slaughtering and eating their horses and donkeys. Even though to eat horses and donkeys is allowed, even though I really don't know who would crave to eat a horse, but it's allowed. Islamically, it's allowed. During certain battles, Rasulullah would forbid them. Why? Because what are horses used for? Transportation. If they would eat their horses, what are they going to ride? They would have to walk. Thus it had a time limit. Otherwise, by default, eating horses and donkeys is allowed. And so on and so forth. Certain laws have time limits. If it has a time limit, so be it. If not, all Islamic laws by default are to remain forever. Halal Muhammad halalun ila yawm al-qiyamah wa haramuhu haramun ila yawm al-qiyamah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد Here, As-Sayyid al-Shaheed, As-Sayyid Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr, has a theory. The theory is called Mantaqat al-Faragh, the empty space. And he discusses this theory in his book, Iqtisaduna, Our Economics. What is this theory? I'll give you a very small summary. We have 5 Islamic laws. Everything that we do, all of our actions fit in one of these 5 categories. We have wajibat, like salah. We have muharramat, like alcohol. We have mustahabbat, like salat al-layl. We have makruhat, like sleeping alone by yourself in a room. This is makruh. And we have things that are neutral, like drinking a cup of water. As-Sayyid al-Shaheed, Sayyid Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr, says that al-wajibat and al-muharramat, the obligations and prohibitions, no one can touch them. They will remain forever. When Allah said pray, no one can play around with this law. This law will remain till the Day of Judgment. When Allah said do not drink alcohol, this will remain forever till the Day of Judgment. However, there's an area called the empty area, Mantaqat al-Faragh. Which area is that? The other 3 laws. Al-Mustahabbat, the recommended acts, Al-Makruhat, the discouraged acts, and Al-Mubahat, the neutral acts. These 3 laws have the potential to change. They can change into wajibat or muharramat. Something that is mustahab can change into wajib or can change into haram. Something that is makruh can change into wajib or haram. But who has the authority to change these laws within the empty area, Mantaqat al-Faragh? Al-Wali al-Faqih, a mujtahid. A mujtahid has the authority, according to his understanding, according to the maslahah, the advantage, or the mafsada, the disadvantage. He can change. He has the authority to change something which is recommended. He could say it is wajib. And something that is makruh, he can make it into haram. He has the authority. This area is called Mantaqat al-Faragh. Now, how does a mujtahid have this authority? There's a debate. There's a debate regarding wilayat al-faqih. That does a faqih, a mujtahid, have complete authority to do whatever he wants? He has the authority to change Islamic laws? Or no? This is a debate. There are some scholars that say yes. A mujtahid has the authority to change laws within Mantaqat al-Faragh. Not all laws. He can't change obligations and prohibitions, but he can change the other 3 laws. What's their proof that a mujtahid and a marji' has such an authority? They say the following hadith: Al-ulama warathatul anbiya. Scholars are the heirs of prophets. The same way prophets have an authority, the ulama have authority. They have an authority to legislate. طيب. Thus, according to this theory by As-Sayyid al-Shaheed, some laws have the potential to change. And he gives an example. As-Sayyid Muhammad Hassan al-Shirazi, rahimahullah, over 100 years ago, issued a fatwa that smoking tobacco, which is neutral, which is mubah. Most scholars say that smoking tobacco is mubah. It's not haram, and it's not discouraged, it's mubah. طيب. As-Sayyid al-Shirazi, As-Sayyid Muhammad Hassan al-Shirazi, who lived in Samarra over 100 years ago, he issued a fatwa banning tobacco. He said that smoking tobacco is haram. Why? Because who was selling tobacco? Who was providing tobacco? The British. And as a way to boycott the British, he issued a fatwa saying that it is haram to smoke tobacco. And indeed it worked. It was a political scheme, it was a political agenda, and for a certain time, all the Shia boycotted smoking tobacco. They boycotted tobacco. They say even the Shah of Iran, Sayyid al-Shirazi was in Samarra, al-Iraq. The Shah of Iran wanted to smoke. He asked his people to get him tobacco. They said there's no tobacco in the stores. He said, why? They said, because Sayyid al-Shirazi in Iraq has established a fatwa, issued a fatwa banning tobacco. To this point that not even the Shah of Iran was allowed to smoke. Why? Because there's an advantage. Or there's a disadvantage. Sayyid al-Shirazi as a faqih had the authority to change a law as long as it's within mantaqat al-farad. Now, of course, we have a debate with the Sayyid al-Shirazi, or with the Sayyid al-Shaheed. In my humble opinion, there's no such thing as mantaqat al-farad. Even the mustahabbat, there's a reason why a mustahab is mustahab. There's a reason why a makruh is makruh. There's a reason why a mubah is mubah. In my humble opinion, there's no such thing as an empty space. But who am I to debate the Sayyid al-Shaheed? Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Keep this in mind, and I hope I'm not losing you. This is something else that I'd like to introduce. We have laws and we have subject matters. We have a hukum and we have a mawdu'. What is a hukum? What is a mawdu'? Every subject matter has a law. And every law has to have a subject matter. I'll give you an example. Alcohol is haram, it's forbidden. Alcohol is the subject matter. The hurma, being forbidden, is the law. Salah is wajib. Salah is the subject matter. The wujub is what? Is the law. Backbiting is haram. Backbiting is the subject matter, and the law is what? The hurma. Is this clear? The difference between Allah and a subject matter? Now, sometimes the law doesn't change. Laws don't change. What changes is what? The subject matter. The subject matter changes. And when the subject matter changes, as a result, what is going to change? The law is going to change. I'll give you an example. The Quran says, إنما الخمر والميسر والأنصاب والأزلام رجس من عمل الشيطان فاجتنبوه. Gambling is haram. All gambling devices are haram. Gambling devices are the subject matter. The law is what? The hurma. The hurma is the law. Now, and I'm only saying this as an example. Do not take it as a fatwa from me. This is not, I'm not issuing a fatwa. This is only an example. Chess. Chess can be stated, we can state that chess before, it used to be what? A gambling device. And hence, playing chess was haram. Why? Because it was a gambling device. However, some can argue that chess is no longer a gambling device. And now, it has become a mind game. A game to strengthen your mental abilities. Thus, it should be halal. Did the law change? Here, did the law change from halal to haram, from haram to halal? No, the subject matter changed. Chess used to be a gambling device, it was haram. Now it's no longer a gambling device. It's a game for strengthening mental capabilities. It became halal. The law didn't change. The subject matter. Now this can be argued, of course. There are some scholars that say no. Say the Sistani, for example, says chess is haram, whether it's a gambling device or not a gambling device. That is why I stated I'm giving this as an example, not a fatwa. Sometimes it's the subject matter that changes, the mawdu', not the hukum, not the law. I'll give another example. Previously, or even till today, it is stated that things that have no monetary value, it is haram to buy them and sell them. something that does not have monetary value. For example, a piece of paper or a piece of tissue. One piece of tissue. It has no monetary value. That is why you can't go and buy a piece of tissue off of someone. You can't offer someone money for a piece of tissue because it has no monetary value. Well, you might debate me and say, well, no, what if I have to blow my nose? It will have a monetary value. Well, let's say if you didn't have to blow your nose, it won't have a monetary value. Everyone agrees, all scholars agree, that if something does not have a monetary value, you cannot buy it and sell it. Everyone agrees on this. Now, about 100 years ago, up to 100 years ago, our scholars used to say that it is haram to buy and sell blood. Why? Because blood has no monetary value. Previously, blood had no monetary value because they couldn't preserve it. Blood could not be preserved. However, today, when blood can be preserved, blood still does not have monetary value. Blood has the highest monetary value today. Thus, today scholars say, contrary to previous scholars, that it is allowed to buy and sell blood. Up to 100 years ago, you could not buy and sell blood. All scholars agreed on this. Read Kitab al-Makasib by Shaykh al-Ansari, he mentions this, that blood is haram to buy and sell. But today, it is allowed. Did the law change? The law didn't change. What changed? The subject matter. The subject matter changed. Blood did not have a monetary value. Today it does have a monetary value. On these lines, Sayyid al-Imam, Sayyid al-Khomeini, posed a theory. He called this theory تأثير الزمان والمكان. Sayyid al-Khomeini says that a jurist, a mujtahid, a faqih, before issuing a fatwa, he must look at the subject matter. Perhaps the subject matter has changed. Things have changed. We are centuries away from the times of the Imams. And perhaps subject matters have changed. And hence the laws will change. That is why Sayyid al-Khomeini issued a fatwa that playing chess is allowed, because the subject matter changed. Previously, playing chess was a gambling device. Now it is no longer a gambling device. Regarding musical instruments, certain musical instruments, Sayyid al-Khomeini, rahimahullah, Sayyid al-Imam, said that certain musical instruments used to be instruments for entertainment. They were provocative. They were used for negative means, for promiscuity or whatever. Today, certain musical instruments are not negative. They're used for peaceful means. People listen to them to bring peace into their lives and so on and so forth. The subject matter changed. And hence the law should change. Sayyid al-Imam says that we have to look at the time and the place. Time and place play a major role on subject matters. Sometimes subject matters change because of the time and the place. They're not the same. And he called this theory تأثير الزمان والمكان. It is recorded that Sayyid al-Khomeini in his class in Bahth al-Kharij, he would advise his students that when you issue a fatwa, when you come up with an Islamic law, don't be secluded in your room. Don't go hide in your room in your school and you sit and you write Islamic laws. Go out. He would tell them, and he was in Najaf, he would tell them to go out and walk in Suq al-Ahwash, to go out shopping, to go and to see how people behave. He would say, when you issue fatwas, you don't necessarily need to think theoretically. Sometimes you need to think practically. Think practically when you issue a fatwa. Because sometimes things change. Subject matters change. Unfortunately, sometimes we don't think practically the way people practice their lives. And this is a problem. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Furthermore, on the same line, I'd like to introduce something else, and I hope you're still with me, because inshallah we'll get to a conclusion. I'd like to introduce another concept. We have primary laws and we have secondary laws. حكم أولي وحكم ثانوي. Every act has a primary law. Certain acts pick up secondary laws. What do I mean by this? I'll give you an example. Wudu for salah is what? What's the law of wudu? It's wajib. Every person in order to pray has to perform wudu. Wudu is wajib. This is the primary law. However, if you know that by performing wudu you will be harming yourself, you will damage your health, in this case, wudu becomes what? Wudu becomes what? Becomes haram. Wudu becomes haram. Islam says, do not perform wudu, go and perform tayammum. Thus, wudu has a primary law, which is wujub. And if it causes harm, it has a secondary law, hurmah. I'll give you another example. Drinking alcohol is what? Haram. This is its primary law. Al-hukm al-awwali, drinking alcohol is haram. However, if you get stuck in the desert and there's absolutely no water, but you have a bottle of vodka with you. Now why are you carrying vodka? I don't know, you should question yourself. But you have a bottle of vodka, and if you don't drink, you'll die. Here, drinking that vodka becomes what? Of course, not the whole bottle, but just a little bit. In order to save your life, it becomes what? It becomes wajib. Here, drinking vodka becomes wajib. That's the secondary law. Is this clear? A third example. I want this to be really clear. I'll give you a third example. Fasting for everyone is what? Wajib. But for a pregnant woman that can risk her health or the health of her fetus, fasting becomes what? According to some scholars, becomes haram. This is the secondary law. Thus, certain acts have primary laws, but they can also pick up secondary laws. If there's a harm, Islam is accommodating. Islam won't tell you alcohol is haram till the Day of Judgment in under any circumstance. No. Islam will tell you that if it's used to save your life, or you're going to starve to death and there's pork, there's ham, or there's meat, a haram meat, and you need to save your life, Islam will say go eat it. It becomes wajib. Why? Because Islam is accommodating. Islam says, yes, the primary law will stay, but it will also pick up a secondary law because it becomes harmful. This harm gives you a secondary law. Where do these secondary laws come from? We have a principle in usul al-fiqh, in the principles of jurisprudence, called قاعدة لا ضرر. لا ضرر ولا ضرار في الإسلام. There is no harm in Islam, and there are no harmful laws in Islam. Islam says, here's our laws, here's the wajibat, and here's the muharramat. However, if any of these laws become harmful for you, you don't need to abide by them. You don't need to abide by them. Where did this law come from? Where did this principle come from? قاعدة لا ضرر. One day, Rasulullah had a companion by the name of Samara bin Jundub, or Jundab. Samara sold a house to one of the Ansar, one of the helpers, one of the people, indigenous people of Medina. He sold him a house, yet he had a tree in that house that he didn't sell. Every day Samara would come to the house of this Ansari, barge into his house just to go and look at his tree, to give it water, to eat from its dates, I don't know, whatever. And sometimes he would go in the middle of the night, and this poor Ansari man has a wife she's probably not wearing her hijab. Samara would barge in without saying Ya Allah, without saying anything, would barge in. One day this man came to Rasulullah. I told him, Ya Rasulullah, I have a complaint. Samara has a tree in my house, but he thinks he can come in whenever he'd like. He barges in whenever he likes. Rasulullah called Samara. Told him, Samara, next time you go, seek permission, knock at the door. Or there should be certain hours in which you go and you see your tree. He said, no, it's my tree and I want to see it and I'll go and see it whenever I'd like. He said, okay, sell the tree to this man. He said, no, I won't sell it. He said, okay, sell the tree to me. I'll buy this tree from you. He said, no, I won't sell it. He said, okay, give this tree to this man and I guarantee you another tree in paradise. He said, no, I don't want a tree in paradise. Rasulullah said, khalas, khalas. He looked at the man, he looked at the Ansari man, he said, اذهب وإقلعها وإرمي بها وجهها. Go, cut off the tree and come and throw it in Samara's face. And then he said, لا ضرر ولا ضرار في الإسلام. There's no harmful laws in Islam. Just because he owns a tree, he thinks he can barge in 24 hours a day? No way. From this law, just one phrase, you see, it's just one sentence. Our scholars have written volumes on this law, on this principle. قاعدة لا ضرر. And in Hawza we probably spend years just researching this law. And our scholars have derived hundreds of laws just from this principle. قاعدة لا ضرر. And you will see that our top scholars have debated this law, have researched it. Even Samahat Sayyid al-Sistani Hafidhahullah has a book called قاعدة لا ضرر. Thus, it establishes that, yes, there might be primary laws. Samara had the right to go and visit his tree, unless it becomes harmful. Unless it becomes harmful, then no, he's not given that right. Because in Islam, there is no harmful laws. If wudu becomes harmful for you, you are not allowed to perform wudu. Fasting for the sick is not allowed. If you are sick, if you are ill, and fasting becomes harmful for you, by fasting you are doing something haram. Don't think that by fasting while you're ill, you're going to get thawab. No, you will not get thawab. You're doing something haram, and once Ramadan is over, you're going to have to do it over again. Because there's no harmful laws in Islam. If a law becomes harmful, its law changes. It changes. Now, how do we apply? How does this apply to us? Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. I'll give you certain examples, and I'm saying examples, not fatwas. I'm giving you certain examples in which we can implement this principle. If there's a lady who has studied, she went into a university, she studied, she became, for example, a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, whatever it is. And she has applied for a job. And she worked hard. She applied for a job. And her employer at the interview is going to shake her hand. If she doesn't shake his hand, she knows for sure she'll lose the job. Perhaps, again, I'd like to emphasize, I'm not giving a fatwa. I'm giving this as an example. Some scholars might say, قاعدة لا ضرر will take its place. Shaking hands with the opposite sex, the primary law is what? It's haram. But perhaps قاعدة لا ضرر will step in and will say no. The secondary law here is that it's permissible. Why? Because this lady went and she studied for many years. And if she doesn't get this job, perhaps, and she might not get any other job, because she doesn't shake the hand of the person interviewing her, she'll lose the job. Perhaps there might be a secondary law that allows her. Or a man that has a family, has a wife, children, he needs to bring a salary back home. If he doesn't shake the hand of a certain lady that is interviewing him or whatever, he'll lose his job, and this will put him at harm. Perhaps qa'idat la darar will step in and will say, he is allowed. Again, do not take this from me as a fatwa. I don't want to see on Facebook, Sayyid Hussein says it is allowed to shake hands with the opposite sex. This is just an example. I'll give you another example. In Islam, who has the right to divorce? The man or the woman? The man. In Islam, the man has the right to divorce. However, if there's a man that refuses to divorce his wife, they got in a fight, they got in an argument, and the wife no longer wants this husband for legitimate reasons, not because he doesn't look like Brad Pitt and there's someone else that does. This is not a legitimate reason. If she has a legitimate reason to leave him and she wants divorce, but he is refusing, and he is refusing without a legitimate excuse. He wants to hurt her. He wants to bother her. He's not spending money on her. And he's refusing to divorce her. Here, perhaps, qa'idat la darar will step in. The primary law is that divorce is in the hand of the husband. But perhaps there will be a secondary law that will say here, because not divorcing this lady is harmful, she may refer to al-hakim al-shar'i, to a marji' or wakil al-marji' or the representative of marji', and he will grant her divorce. The law will change as a secondary law. This is good? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Hence, let's wrap up now. Let's wrap up. By default, and I'd like to summarize so that when we go back home, we take something back with us. By default, laws are what? Unchangeable. Halal Muhammad halalun ila yawm al-qiyamah wa haramuhu haramun ila yawm al-qiyamah. By default. Unless, no, this is by default. There are times when a law can change. In which conditions? The following. If a law has a time limit, has an expiration date, and it expires. This is one. Number two, according to As-Sayyid al-Shaheed, it's within mantaqat al-faragh, the empty space, and only a faqih can change it. This is two. Number three, if the subject matter changes, like the example of chess, or the example of blood, and these are only examples. This is three. And number four, if a certain law picks up a secondary law because of harm, because of law. You see, my dear brothers and sisters, Islam is accommodating. Islam is not a religion that wants to oppress its followers. Islam wants the best for us. And Islam can be accommodating. Islam is not just a set of strict and boring and difficult and stressful set of laws and rules and regulations. No. Islam is accommodating. If a certain law is too difficult for a certain person, other secondary laws can step in. Islam is accommodating. The Quran says, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. Allah wants that which is easy for you, not that which is difficult for you. مَا جَعَلَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ مِنْ حَرَجٍ. Allah has not put any difficulties upon your shoulders. Islam wants that which is best for us and easy for us. One day, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi was inside his masjid along with his companions. A Bedouin Arab, probably illiterate, does not know any customs, any manners. He came inside the masjid. He listened to Rasulullah's speech. And then all of a sudden he went and stood at the corner and he urinated. Inside the masjid. Inside Masjid Rasulullah. A few of the companions of Rasulullah, they immediately got up, raised their sleeves, and they were about to go and take him outside. Rasulullah said, wait, hold on a second. What are you doing? This guy doesn't know anything. He's ignorant. He's ignorant. His intention was not to disrespect. He didn't mean to disrespect me or disrespect you or disrespect the sanctity of this masjid. This person is ignorant. And then he said, كونوا ميسرين ولا تكونوا معسرين وأن منكم لمنفرين. Be easygoers. Don't be too difficult. And in fact, some of you draw people away from Islam. Some people, with the way they stick to the book and with the small details, there are some that unfortunately, they stick to the book, Nass al-Tashri', and they neglect what? Ruh al-Tashri'. They stick to the minor details, but they forget about the spirit of Islam. They forget about the soul of Islam, the whole meaning and purpose behind Islam. وَإِنَّ مِنْكُمْ لَمُنَفِّرِينَ. You might ask some, for example, in Hajj, during Tawaf, you have to go around the Kaaba 7 times. And you have to do it voluntarily, meaning you take the steps by yourself. If someone pushes you, someone comes and pushes you from the back, that step will not be voluntary. Someone pushed you to take that step. There are some scholars that will tell you, take a step back and do it. Allah alaykum, can you take a step back in Tawaf? Who can take a step back in Tawaf? Without getting slapped 20 times from behind. Or some say, no. Go another circle, that circle will not count, and start from that same place. Baba, what are you guys talking about? Is this what Islam wants from us? This is not realistic. Now, I'm not making these laws up from my own pocket. Here, la darar comes in. La darar will tell you to take a step back. How are you going to take a step back when you have millions of people behind you? There's no way. Thus, unfortunately, sometimes we stick to these little details, but we forget the overall picture. And this is very important. To protect Ruh al-Tashri' and not to remain sticking to Nass al-Tashri'. Sallu ala Muhammad wa alayhi. We have a beautiful religion, brothers and sisters, if we understand it. If we understand our religion and we study it, and we know everything about it, we will love it. We will enjoy it. Sometimes I see that we Muslims that are born into Islam, we don't appreciate Islam as much as converts do, or reverts. Why? Because we didn't study about Islam. We were just handed it. Islam was given to us by our parents. We inherited it. But when I see certain reverts, they become more religious than Muslims that are born into Islam. Why? Because they studied. Because they understood. They appreciate Islam more. Because they used to follow another religion and they came into Islam, they appreciate this Islam. We have a beautiful religion. However, a time came in which this religion was in danger. And the people that put this religion in danger was Bani Umayyah. Bani Umayyah put this religion in danger. Why? Because they wanted to come to power in the name of Islam and to eradicate Islam. The only reason why Bani Umayyah became Muslim was because they wanted to reach power. There was no other way for them to reach power other than to become Muslim. This is a fact. Look at the life of Muawiyah. Look at what he did. Anyone who reads about the life of Muawiyah will understand that Muawiyah's goal and agenda was to eradicate Islam, was to change Islam. But unfortunately, you will see that certain countries and certain people, they treat Muawiyah as a hero. And they will have episodes and TV series regarding Muawiyah, and they portray him as an Islamic figure, as an Islamic hero. وَمِنْ كُتَّابِ الْوَحْيِ, a person who wrote the revelation. Muawiyah's goal was to destroy Islam. And Muawiyah was behind the fabrication of thousands of ahadith. Thousands of ahadith. Everyone knows the famous hadith of La ashba' Allah batna. One day Rasulullah sends someone to Muawiyah to call him. He found Muawiyah eating. He came back to Rasulullah and told him, Ya Rasulullah, Muawiyah is busy eating. After a couple of hours, he sent that messenger again. He saw Muawiyah eating. He came back, he told him Muawiyah is still busy eating. A third time he went, again he saw Muawiyah eating. He came back, he told him, Ya Rasulullah, Muawiyah is still eating. The same meal. It wasn't a different meal, the same meal. Rasulullah raised his hand and he said, La ashba Allah batna. May he never be full. Now Muawiyah heard about this hadith. Muawiyah heard about this hadith. He got someone like Samara. This same Samara who was in the hadith of La Darar. Samara was an employee for Muawiyah. Abu Hurairah was an employee for Muawiyah. He would pay these guys to fabricate a hadith. One of the hadith that they fabricated was, and from Rasulullah. This is the problem. They said Rasulullah stated, إنما أنا بشر وأغضب كسائر البشر فأيما امرئ لعنته أو سببته فاجعل اللهم ذلك كفارة له. Supposedly Rasulullah stated that I am a human being and I get angry like any human being. If I cursed anyone, then let that curse be a blessing for that person. Why? Because of La ashba Allah batna. Because of that curse, Muawiyah wants to change. And this was ordinary. Muawiyah fabricated thousands of hadith. Among the hadith that were fabricated, Rasulullah supposedly stated, Al-umana'u ala al-wahi thalatha, ana wa Jibra'il wa Muawiyah. That Allah trusted three people on His revelation, Jibra'il and me, Rasulullah, and Muawiyah. And he fabricated a hadith that Rasulullah stated, Muawiyah khalul mu'mineen. Muawiyah is the uncle of all the believers. Muawiyah is the uncle of all the believers. One day, Amr ibn al-As was entering the masjid. He saw someone at the door selling onions. I've mentioned this before, maybe 2 years ago. He saw someone selling onions at the door of the masjid. But no one is buying anything from him. No one is buying onions from this person. Amr ibn al-As, who was Muawiyah's best friend and buddy, he went in the masjid. After salah, he stood up and he said, O believers, I heard Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam state, Man akala basala akka, that man, his name was Akka, the one who was selling onions. Man akala basal akka, فَكَمَنْ زَارَ مَكَّةً. That he who eats from the onions of Akka, he receives the reward of visiting Mecca, performing Umrah. Muawiyah was sitting. They told him, Ya Amr, when did Rasulullah state this hadith? He said, he did. He said, when? He said, no, he did. And you were there as well. He said, really? I don't remember him stating this hadith. He said, no, believe me. You were there and you listened to him, but you forgot. He said, when? He said, the same day that Rasulullah said, Muawiyah khalul mu'mineen. That same day he stated this hadith. Muawiyah said, oh my God, you're right, I forgot. Sallallahu ala Muhammad. These were the people that our Imams had to deal with. These were the people that Imam Ali had to deal with, and Imam Hussein had to deal with. These people were sitting on pulpits, preaching to people what to do. Muawiyah claimed to be Amir al-Mu'mineen, the leader of the Mu'mineen. This is the problem. Even though we know for certain that Abu Sufyan, Muawiyah, Yazid, they didn't accept Islam. They were not genuine Muslims. Abu Sufyan comes to the grave of Hamza in Medina. He comes to the grave of Hamza in Medina, and this is after he supposedly accepted Islam. He came to the grave of Hamza, he kicked it, and he said, get up, Ya Hamza. Get up and see who won. That which you fought, that which we fought over has now come into our hands. It came into the hands of Bani Umayyah. This is what he tells Hamza. Does this show that he's a Muslim? Or as for Muawiyah, when he hears the adhan, when he hears the muaddin say, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, he gets angered. He said the first Khalifa ruled, he lived and he died, and his remembrance went with him. And the second Khalifa came, he ruled, he lived, he died, and his remembrance, his memory died with him. The third one came, the third Khalifa came, and he was the best out of all of them. Why is he the best? Because it's his cousin. Uthman is the cousin of Muawiyah. The third one came and he ruled, he lived and he died, and his memory died with him. Except this man. Which man? Rasulullah. Except this man. He ruled, he lived, and he died, but his memory is yet to die. And by God, I will bury his memory. La wallah illa dafnan dafnan. I will bury his love. I will bury his memory. This is Muawiyah. And as for Yazid, he is known for saying, لعبت هاشم بالملك فلا خبر جاء ولا وحي نزل. That Bani Hashim have played around with their kingdom. فلا خبر جاء ولا وحي نزل. There's no revelation, there's no religion, there's nothing. Is this a Muslim? Does this show you that he's a Muslim? And by the way, Yazid was a poet, and he was a good poet. Yazid was a very good poet, and his poems still exist till today. And one of his poetry, and you'll like this if you enjoy Arabic poetry, he says, دع المساجد للعباد تسكنها وقف على دكة الخمار واسقينا. Leave the masajid and the mosques for the worshippers, and as for us, let's go to a bar and have a drink. دع المساجد للعباد تسكنها وقف على دكة الخمار واسقينا. ما قال ربك ويل للذي شربوا بل قال ويل للمصلين. Allah did not say woe unto those who drink. He said woe unto those who pray. This is Yazid. This is Yazid. With a father like Muawiyah, with a grandfather like Abu Sufyan, with a mother like Maysoon, a Christian, and a grandmother like Hind, Akilat al-Akbar. And on the other hand, you have Imam Hussein alayhi salam. A father like Amir al-Mu'mineen, a grandfather like Rasulullah, a mother like Fatima, and a grandmother like Khadija. Didn't Imam Hussein alayhi salam have the right to say, وَمِثْلِي لَا يُبَايِعُ مِثْلَهُ إِنَّا أَهْلُ بَيْتِ النُّبُوَّةِ وَمَوْضِعِ الرَّسَالَةِ بِنَا فَتَحَ اللَّهُ وَبِنَا يَخْتِمُ وَيَزِيدُ رَجُلٌ فَاسِقٌ فَاجِرٌ وَمِثْلِي لَا يُبَايِعُ مِثْلَهُ. A person like me will never give allegiance to a person like Yazid. It was a fight for religion. It was a fight for faith. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Tonight, I'd like to take you somewhere, brothers and sisters. I'd like to take you somewhere, but not to Karbala. Just a bit further than Karbala. Because some of the tragedies took place in Karbala and other tragedies took place somewhere else, like Damascus. Tonight, my dear brothers and sisters, I'd like to take you to Damascus, where Yazid was sitting in his palace, in his mansion, drinking like an alcoholic as he is, while the family of Rasulullah were put in a dumpster, in a shack, in a dumpster, in a khariba. Yazid in his mansion and the family of Rasulullah, Sayyidah Zainab and the women and the children are in a dumpster. Imam Hussein alayhi salam had a 3-year-old daughter by the name of Ruqayya. I'd like to take you to Ruqayya tonight. And we designate this night for Sayyidah Ruqayya, and those of you that have hajat, you take it from her. You take it from her. I'll tell you from my own experience, I've received hajat from Sayyidah Ruqayya. Go and see her haram and go and see how many stand by her shrine, that small shrine, and they bring their nidr, because Sayyidah Ruqayya is Bab al-Hajat. And she gives. Tonight, before you leave your majlis, before you leave this majlis, you receive your hajat from Sayyidah Ruqayya. I have my own experience. Ruqayya was 3 years old. She would constantly ask about her father. Amma Zainab, Aina walidi, Aina abi. She would tell her, my dear daughter, your father is on a journey, he's traveling. And she meant the journey of the akhir, the journey to the next life. Ruqayya would sit on the musalla of Imam Hussein, on the sajjad of Imam Hussein. She would remember her father. She would sit there having memories of her father. One night Ruqayya fell asleep. All of a sudden she wakes up and she begins to cry and shout, Amma, I want my father right now. I want my father immediately. She told her, my daughter, your father is on a journey. He's traveling. She said, no, he's not. He was with me just a couple of minutes ago. She had seen her father in her dream. She had seen her father in her dream. One poet says, طفلا مدللة وتريد أبوها. She got up asking for her father. She began to cry. When Ruqayya began to cry, everyone began crying. All the women and children began crying. They had all kept it inside, but now they could no longer keep it inside. They all burst into tears and into cries. The sound of the cries reached Yazid in his palace while drinking alcohol, being drunk. He said, what is all this commotion? Why do I hear noise of crying and shouting? They told him, Ya Yazid, one of the orphans of Hussein has woken up. She saw her father in her dream and now she wants him. She won't be settled, she won't be quiet until she sees her father. He said, لا بأس احملوا إليها رأس أبيها. Take the head of her father to her. They put the head of her father in a basket and they headed towards this khariba, this dumpster where the family of Rasulullah was staying. جابوا شافتهم من بعيد. شافتهم من بعيد وصاحت هلا براسك يا العميد يا هلا يا العزن بليلة العيد ليش قطعت بينا يا صندي. They put this basket in front of Ruqayya. Her aunt Zainab told her, my dear niece, open the basket. She said, Amma Zainab, I'm not hungry. I didn't ask for food. I never asked for food. She said, lift the cover and what you want, you will see. As soon as she raised the cover, she saw the head of her father, Hussein. أبتاه من الذي قطع الرأس الشريف من الذي خضب الشيب العفيف من الذي أيتمني على صغر سني هضيمة والله هضيمة أنا أصير من صغري يتيمة عثار الأبو يا ناس خيمة يفي على ابناته وحريمة. Ruqayya grabbed the head of Imam Hussein, she hugged it. She grabbed the head, she hugged the head, and she burst into tears. She kept on crying and crying, removing the blood and dust from his forehead and from his beard. She kept on staring at his face. She grabbed it, she held it. She kept on crying until Ruqayya stopped. She stopped crying. Imam Zain al-Abidin said, Amma Zainab, lift Ruqayya off the head of my father. Why? He said, Amma Zainab, my dear sister Ruqayya has passed away. They lifted her from the head of her father and they saw that she had died. على لسان السيدة زينب خويا أنا تحيرت والله بيتامك خويا أنا تحيرت والله بيتامك خويا وانا مالي حيل فرقاك. خويا خويا هادي تقول عمه وين عمي، وذيك الصيح فارقني ابن امي. يهيج لوعتي ويزيد همي، عليلك من يدير العين لي.
السلام عليك يا سيدتي يا مولاتي يا رقية. ضعن الفاطم من وصل الأرض الشام، بدار الخرابة نزلوهن بالسلام. طفلة طفلة ويتيمة نامت من الأيتام، والله شافت أبوها الغسلوه بفيض الدماء. فزت الطفلة وتهمل دمع العين، وتنادي يا عمه يا زينب هالحين عدنا يا عمه كان والينا حسين. فزت الطفلة وتهمل دمع العين، وتنادي يا عمه يا زينب هالحين عدنا يا عمه جان والينا حسين. والدار تزهر والساع شو مظلمه، حنت الطفلة والأراميل حنت، والشام بونين ونحيب ارتجت. ويزيد ناده اليسار شافت تبكي وتنوح وهالساع مو نايمة. شوفوا اليتامى ايش صابها وش داها، ومنه اللي ما فيها وش آذاها. نادوه طفلة ما تبطل بجاهه، شافت أبوها وعليها متألمة. أي والله شافت أبوها وعليها متألمة، بالطش تنادى راس أبوها مطروح، والله مطروح. اخذوا إلها بالجن تبطل النوح، يبطل بجاهه لو درج بمذبوح. قولوا لها ضلوع حسين متشمه، والله بالطشت جابه وراس ابوها. بالطشت جابه وراس ابوها الغلام، ونادوها لا تهلين دمعك غدران، مذبوح ابوك وهذا راسه. والله نيشان نيشان وازرق اثر صوت يزيد بسمه، والله مذبوح ابوك وهذا راسه. نيشان وازرق اثر صوت يزيد بسمه. إن الذي رباني ملقا على الكثبان، جده من يرعاني، جده من يرعاني. اللي يحب يواسي الرقية خليه يقوم على الحالة. بارك الله بكم أخواتي، جزاكم الله خير الجزاء. إن الذي رباني جده من يرعاني من شاله رأسي الروح رأسي السبت والدي هامت رقية والدمع جرح جفنها وخدها التفتت لاعت صوب النجف التفتت لاعت صوب النجف تحكي ويا حدار جدها وتقل راحة وكلها لي وش بعد ضل وتقل راحة وكلها لي روحي شبعد ضل عيدها حرماني حرماني من أهلي حرماني فوق للأشياء الغالي في غمرة الأحزان جده من يرعاني جده من يرعاني أنا رقية وهالقلب شبت مواقيد همها وقبالي انظر والدي بالمذبح صوب دمه انا رقية وهالقلب شبيت مواقيد همها وقبالي انظر والدي بالمذبح صوب دمه يا جدي وينك يا علي يا جدي وينك يا علي شبلك جينا ثار جسمه عالرمح راسه وهالجسم مطروح ما حد يهمه بعيوني بعيوني شاهدت بعيوني الجسم في الميدان الجسم في الميدان والرأس في المران جده من يرعاني جده من يرعاني
نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا الله. اللهم ادخل على أهل القبور السرور، اللهم اشفي كل مريض، اللهم داوي كل جريح، اللهم اكسو كل عريان، اللهم اشبع كل جائع، اللهم اغني كل فقير، اللهم اقضي دين كل مدين، اللهم سد فقرنا بغناك وغير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك، واقض عنا الدين واغننا من الفقر. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة
وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. ولأرواح المؤمنين والعلماء والشهداء ولأرواح أموات المؤسس نقرأ سورة الفاتحة مع الصلوات.